Okay, so same day, third video, kind of out. Um, the title of this video is Patriot, You Are Not Alone, and this where I'm I don't consider what I'm going to say to be political, but if you don't feel the same way that I do, you might feel this, you might find this offensive, you might not. But I'm speaking to my tribe and those of us that call ourselves patriots. And this is the comfort and the profound encouragement, upliftment that I've just found just by listening to. So the video I referred to in my last video, this guy's channel, his name is Sean Ryan. It's just called Sean Ryan Show, SHAWN. Go there, subscribe to it now, go back, listen to videos. I just watched his wife interview him from 2 weeks ago. Like, it was good to get a flavor of him. He's interviewed a lot of Stephen Greer's whistleblowers lately, and he's been a Navy SEAL. He's been in the C/A. He recently became a Christian through doing psychedelics and going to a vortex in Sedona. today's Christian, you know, and he's one of the tribe that knows about everything from interviewing Jim Caviezel and that really deplorable situation all the way to the galactic stuff that's going on, or at least checking into the UFOs and the advanced tech that the elites, the secret governments have been using for decades. Anyway, it's just a huge breadth of knowledge. And watching this video about the struggle that he went through and the profound angst and the pain of what it's like to know what we know and watch other people not know and get manipulated and just mind controlled. I have not, I decided when, I'm going to use initials because I don't want to get another strike, but when the SOF movie came out, Jim Caviezel, I decided that I could not look at what the mainstream media and naysayers might be saying because it was just too painful. And I was like, they're going to say what they're going to say. And my heart can't bear that additional burden. Bearing the burden of knowing this for this long, and I don't think that's for us to watch. I think it's not for us to get upset about. Don't let your vibe get taken down into another luge harvest of rage and anger because they're showing their hand. Who knows? There might be white hats behind some of these outlandish things that they're saying about the movie, and it's like, oh my God. So my little in last night that the Spirit opens these doors, and we were watching this video called The Windermere Children. Let me show you. The Windermere Children is a story about all of these, they're Polish kids after World War II who were in the concentration camps, who had been orphaned, and the British government gave their approval to a program. Funds were raised where they could go stay at this gorgeous estate, the Windermere Lakes estate. And it was, recovery for 4 months. And I think they took in and processed like 700 children. Took them from a place of extreme trauma to functionality. And then they interviewed a bunch of these children, now elderly, who talked about that place and their lives and their recovery. And while we were watching that, I said, it just kind of came out of my mouth, said to my unawakened partner, I think a lot about, and I'd like to know more about Tim Ballard's aftercare programs that he has in place. I've heard about them for years. He's had them in place for, children, victims of, God, I said the C word. You can get a strike for saying the C word, and we're the ones defending them. Anyway, and I just think that might have been that was a little in, because it made it real in that moment. It doesn't matter what anybody is saying about this. There are children who have suffered the kind of worse than the kind of trauma we were learning about. And I'm not even going to go into it because it's really, really horrific stuff. The Holocaust and the death camps and what children had to, blah, blah, blah. And, kids that have been dealing with worse than that and going into aftercare, that it just brought about a completely different picture, I'm sure, in his mind than whatever he might have heard from NPR so far. And whoever, it doesn't make sense for us to just completely write something off because it's Christian, but and it's not, but that's what they're using. I'm sorry, I shouldn't go into it. I have heard that one thing, and I need to just turn away from it. Anyway, my whole point in making this video is we all struggle. We have all gone through a great deal of pain. It's real. The pain is real. And when you watch this Sean Ryan video, and he just talks about the kind of literally almost losing his mind at times because of what he was learning, and the anger, just not being grounded in faith. The anger can take you to a really scary place, and then the voices do their thing, to bring you further down and make you feel more alienated, and you might as well just end it all type messages. So you have to be very careful about, riding that line of allowing ourselves to feel, but not going, staying out of it as much as we can. And I do believe that last reading that I did at the very end of the last video, I got the Storm card and the 17th card. And I think we were being told the storm is upon us because it's time and there's a house cleaning going on. So it's not for us to dig our heads into what's happening unless you are divinely guided. This is where I've come to, and I've been digging in deep to as many videos as I could get my hands on for the last 5 years, just, kind of addicted to intel, and, growing through that whole, and it's been our duty and responsibility to do that. And here's the vision that came to me, and now there's a shift, but here's the vision that came to me that made me want to make this video. Despite the fact that it's been a really weird day, I thought, okay, this is what it's like. It's like we've had a lens, and it's been trained on, through 17. It's been trained on these various things. Here's Epstein Island. And the focus gets really, really, really clear. And it's gotten more and more clear. And what we're looking at, we can just kind of, oh yeah, there was, that president and that event, and then it's blurry, and there was that, when those things came down, and this flappy thing, and then they came into focus, these varieties of things, and then, with the little ones. And it's been extremely painful to see, but with the incredible focus and clarity that we have. And we're seeing all of, here, look at this, look at this, look at this. Guess what? You're first. You're the first, swath of population that has to see this. This has to be seen. You didn't believe it. There's no way you would have believed this, a couple months, years, decades ago? And I look at people like Kathy O'Brien, who have been knowing and watching and waiting for 40 years, almost 40 years. What we really need to ask her is, what gave you staying power? What gave you day to day? And I think she would say, living the love that I am. That's one of her key phrases. And we have That's something that I've come to as this remote viewing about the Great Awakening, being like, oh, to, oh, me, I have to do my work. That's what's up for me lately. We have a choice when we go in and do that work about, what we put our attention on. And I would just say, be real with the feelings. It's an incredible emotional release to give yourself when you realize how incredibly painful it's been to bear this burden. And I think it has really come home to me with the SOF coming out, because it's like I passed the baton. Said I ran my stretch. I'm done. I'm done being on that front line right now. I'm done personally. You go where you're called to go. But it was in that moment of relief that it was like, oh my God, this has been so hard. And yes, it's real. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's real. It's like it's even penetrating ourselves more and more and more deeply. And if you don't have a spiritual foundation, you can't cope. In that video of Sean Ryan, his wife interviewing him so it's like 2 weeks ago, and it's titled Guardian Angel, because that sort of happened to them in Sedona. A lot of really woo things happened to them on that pivotal trip, where he eventually came to Christ and got that spiritual support. Christ came into him, he came to Christ. How do you say it and not sound really Christian, He had a raw yes between him and Jesus, and it's made all the difference in the world. Whatever your path, whatever your connection to the divine is, and even reading this book, I've been reading, and I'm going to be quoting from this book hopefully in the next coming videos. Facets of Unity, A.H. Alma's The Diamond Approach. He's not Christian by any stretch, but the guy is really enlightened in terms of the emotional healing process taking you to spiritual enlightenment. And that's my shtick. And there's this part where he's just talking about God as if God is real. Just like, oh my God, it's like, come into this room where it's safe. It's safe to say, I believe in God. I do. I do. But, to say that is, to feel the resistance of that is part of the evidence of the, where we live, this planet, coming against, the powers and principalities of this world that have invested a lot of time and energy to make it hip, to say, I'm an atheist. I'm more intellectually astute than you, and I'm sorry that you're caught in this wish, this myth, this fantasy. It's all part of the human psyche, but I'm an enlightened atheist. There's really nothing more than what you see. And anyway, I was just reading this chapter on God, and what was so interesting to me is he said, we think of God and the world as two separate things. We think of the physical and the spiritual as being a non-physical thing. And I've even kind of alluded to some of that in the models that I've been talking about, but he said it's a wound that happened when our essence was not seen. So when he talks about essence, it's our spirit, it's our soul, it's that part of us that is eternal, that is connected to God. And in that holding space, meaning childhood, the holding environment, when what gets reflected back to us is our need for food, our need for shelter, clothing, safety, and it's just physical. I see you as a physical being. There's this bifurcation in the mind of a child where it's like, I'm physical, but if I have an experience of love or connection, that must be somehow different. So anyway, be grateful if your holding environment held your soul, held your essence, and gave you an acknowledgement of the reality of the spiritual realm in you, your, essential connectedness to it. But when I saw this movie, and I just thought about, these children having gone through what they went through, and then this, to be able to reclaim a life. And it described just a little paragraph, went on to marry and started a business and da da da, and died in 2014 or whatever. Child after child after child went on to live a full and fulfilling life. We don't know about the wounds and the journey and all of that, but the essence came through. It didn't matter. You think about the children and the aftercare, and from ugh, I said the word again, from today's really bad shit that's going on. Is recovery possible? Yes, 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 because they all have the spark of the divine within them, and that is what heals us all, is that coming forward. One other thing I wanted to say about this, the experience of this movie before I depart from this, the thing that it made me aware of, and in the Sound of Freedom prayer that I made, I really, really encourage you to go listen to that whole thing. Like, it takes about 5 minutes for me to read through the whole thing, but it connects the divine to every single aspect. And I think that, oh, I can't think about the level of suffering. I just can't go there. Or, oh, I can't think about forgiving the perpetrators because that's just so heinous. And, the thing that this movie does is it connects you in a personal way to absolutely everything. And this prayer, it becomes, if you can't look at it, the thing is, when you do look at it, it's all about looking at the self. It's largely about looking at the self. And when we have healed to a certain degree, we have more abundance of essential self so that we can afford to look. There's enough love there. And when you do look, I think, I'm speaking specifically of, looking at the suffering of the little ones in this movie. And they did just give you a tiny teaspoon, okay? It's PG. But when you witness that, you think about that little soul going through that, and you want them to be strong. And my prayer includes that. And I've just had kind of a transformation in how I think about all of this, and I think about the journey of each little soul and the purpose and the strength. The courage, the whatever it took. Maybe it's karma, to come in and have a life like that. And, we can step back from caretaking and say, that's not mine to carry or heal or figure out for that little soul going through that. It is mine to bring more light to it, and to send love, to pray for them, and say, God, this is your child, and I'm just giving juice to the angels. I'm just giving fuel to the angels by my prayers. Okay, I am going to say one more thing because I'm on a roll. I highly recommend reading Frank Peretti's books, Peretti. They were written like in the 90s, I think. This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness. It really gives you a lot of clarity about the power of prayer, and how, it gives you a play-by-play interactive visual of angels and demons, the spiritual realm, how they get into people's heads, the bad guys, how do our prayers unleash the power of the angels to act, walking side by side with this little old lady to get her to church, because enough people are praying for the strength of prayer cover. They're like, please help, God, give us more prayer cover. And so this woman, she's like 80, can barely walk. She's guided by these angels to the prayer meeting. I'm just getting chilled, where she can add her prayers. She is a prayer warrior. She's incredibly valuable. And so our prayers summon that strength and that power. And then the corporate prayer just, expands exponentially. The power is exponential. It's not equal to 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It's like 1 + 1 + 1 = like 300. So that's why I made that video, is because it's so freaking powerful to do, and I don't know why we don't do it more. But of course it's getting banned. I shared it on Facebook and it got 0 views. 0, like after an entire day. No responses, no nothing. And I have a lot of friends on Facebook, you know. So the evil is very threatened by prayer. And I will leave you with this parting thought. I don't even know what it is yet. Perfect. Thank you. Hebrews 12. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, a lot of people speculate those are those who have passed on, who are watching us. You see a butterfly, you see a bird, you go, oh, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's my uncle, grandma, whatever. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, like negative thinking and bad feelings, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Hang in there. Hang in there. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. So that refers to the Garden of Gethsemane, where he had a medical condition of extreme stress where blood actually bursts through the corpuscles and you sweat blood. That's what happened to Jesus just before the whole crucifixion thing, because he could feel it coming, the immensity of it. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And you have forgotten that word of encouragement that addresses you as sons, my son, my daughter. Do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes everyone he accepts as a son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as sons. For what son is not disciplined by his father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are illegitimate children and not true sons. Moreover, we have had human fathers who disciplined us. We've respected them for it. God disciplines for us as good, sharing his holiness. Blah, blah, blah. Later on, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. Make every effort to live in peace with all men and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one misses the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. That whole chapter is really good. But anyway, we don't hear a lot about staying tough, staying strong. It's like we just relegate that teaching to the military and we leave it behind their gates. And we're a little bit excessively focused on our feelings, and I've been guilty of that. And it's yin and yang, right? It's mother and father within, and that father voice says, buck up, hang in there. You might have to grit your teeth a little bit, but hang in there, because there is a joy set before us, a reward on the other side. And I think we're beginning to feel that. We're beginning to feel this. We are definitely in the storm. It is rolling. It is rolling. Disclosure is rolling. And stay out of the froth of that waterfall. Stay out of the chaos and the froth and all the sticks churning and everything. You could get really chopped up by it, because the evil one is very threatened. He's like a rabid dog right now, and their forces are really depleted. Yeah, we know the story. I don't think we really need the blow by blow specifics anymore. Unless you feel called to that. I don't feel called to that anymore. I feel called to putting out a vibe of harmony and getting both hemispheres of my brain to work together finally. Okay, love to you all. Strength, courage. Thank you for watching.